How do you talk about your dad's obituary? You could talk about him being born June 7th, 1940, to a father of his that once told me, when I asked him what he did for fun when he was a kid, he said didn't have any fun. Why? Because his dad grew up in the Prohibition, World War I, the Great Depression. Didn't have any fun. Huh? Didn't have any fun. And so then my dad's born in the middle of a bunch of people. My dad is the middle child. Six brothers and a sister. David, Eddie, Carl, Tony, my dad, Philip, Raymond, the sister Gertrude. There's got to be another one I keep forgetting, but there he was in the middle of it all. I always look at that and I think he wanted something of his own at one time. He's got stories of when he was a kid. He had a lion bank and he had coins in it and he buried it. And then his brothers saw him bury it and they dug it up and he could never find that lion bank again. He's certain that his brothers stole his money. There are stories like that I hear from when he was a kid and he grew up. And, you know, look at that. Look at that. So all that kid ever wanted was a cigarette. And he said they would walk and they'd watch the cattle to make sure they didn't get into other people's corn. Whereas one time my dad's, somebody's got a shotgun because somebody's cattle went into somebody else's corn and said, "Here, I'm sorry about that," and offered up a shotgun. That's how business is done. Next time you see him, fucking shoot him. I guess that may be the idea. But they would walk up, he said 27, old 27, and they'd pick up cigarette butts, and they'd pick up cigarette butts. And that's all they did as kids. And then they'd get back and they'd smoke those cigarette butts, and once Uncle Carl, who's gone already, he caught the chicken coop on fire. They were in eating dinner and Grandma jumped up and said, "Chicken coop's on fire!" Ran out and put it out, you know, whatever. It's just, this is the stuff that goes on. This is an obituary. This is something I talk about with my dad. We're talking together now. Thank you.
Can I share a question?
You can share a question.
Okay. What does a dolphin like to eat with peanut butter?
What does a dolphin like to eat with peanut butter? Probably krill.
No, it's a jellyfish.
Jellyfish. That's perfect. One mela. That's Chinese for perfect. One mela.
Well, my question was
One mela.
One mela.
One Mela. Perfect. Wan meaning done. May meaning beautiful. And La meaning now. There's nothing that can be done any better than what it is now. One Mela. If you want to understand Chinese, ask me and I'll tell you things they don't even understand. Cheers. It's just the chicken coop's burning down. That's what they did as kids. They were always picking up cigarette butts and they'd bring them back and they'd light them up and they smoked Monsignor's Catalpa shit and all that, everything. And then my dad, after being a child like that, a kid who just wants something of his own. And this is how I see my father again and again. He wanted something of his own. And he was it. A place in the world where he was working for his father, being a slave. Not for his father. His father slaved him up to Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe slaved him, said, you got it, even though my dad busted his foot up. Isn't it amazing? That's the thing that got him in the end. That busted up foot. So he busts his foot up and he says, get back to work. And he's working all this time. And he never had good teeth because, well, you know, who does? That was born in 1940. And he's at my grandma's house meeting my mother because Uncle Carl and Uncle David were dating the sisters. Uncle Carl married the one. Uncle David, I don't know what he did to the other one. But then they introduced Al. There are 3 brothers and 3 sisters. This is the way it goes. Nobody's got any game. You just gotta take what you can get. And if you know somebody that's got something, take it. My dad kisses my mom. I've heard this story again and again and again. Just kissing my mom through the screen door. And he said he crapped his pants. And he tells that story again and again in front of my mom when she was here, when they were here. And he said, I think I kissed fly poop. And that's what made him crap his pants. My dad's got a lot of stories about crapping pants. But the thing is, they ended up getting married. And the reason my dad didn't go to Vietnam was because he had a kid. And then the next year when they said, well, if you only got 1 kid, that's enough, he had 2. And then the year after that, he had 3. It just kept going. So he was back home working in factories, and he was going after work and helping my grandpa mow the hay. And he was going and fishing. He had a big deal. He had a big, serious life that he lived. My dad liked things that he liked. And he did them. And he loved the things that he loved. He was a middle child. He held my mother close. And then when she went, which took a very long time, he said he didn't want to wait any longer to go. He sat around and just watched the world for a minute. But then he said he wanted to go home. He said he wanted to go home. I can only imagine if there's any such thing as home that my mother's there. And so he went to her. He did what he wanted. He was a very industrious person. He made things up. He hoarded things in what you would think is a hoarding mentality, but everything he kept, he could use. And as much as he drove people crazy, everybody still loved him.